Yo, what is up, guys? Delboy here. So, Jono Carroll stopped Scott Quigg by an 11th round stoppage. Scott Quigg's corner threw in the towel after a one-sided fight. Now, this was a good performance from Jono Carroll, it has to be said. This is the best I've ever seen Jono Carroll. He was switched on from the first bell, was super accurate, showed nice hand speed, good foot speed, decent defense, good accuracy. He was just on point. Everything he was doing was coming off and having success, whereas Scott Quigg was basically chasing shadows all night. First round, Jono Carroll found a home for that straight left of the body. He was pecking away with a jab, turning Scott Quigg, not letting him get set to throw those big power punches. And yeah, first round, Quigg just got outboxed. Second round was Quigg's best round of the fight. That's the only round in this fight you could have said Scott Quigg won. Quigg landed some nice body shots in round two. He landed some nice sort of hooks to the head, and he actually applied some decent pressure. Carroll himself had some good success. He landed some pretty good 1-2s, some nice body shots. But round two I scored for Scott Quigg. But that's the only round I gave in this fight to Scott Quigg. Every other round, Jono Carroll won easily. And even round two, you could argue Jono Carroll won round two. I just felt Quigg done a little bit more and landed the better shots. But basically, yeah, after round two, this fight was just one-sided. Jono Carroll was making the most of his lateral movement, his foot speed, his hand speed, throwing 1-2s, 2-3 punch combinations, spinning Scott Quigg, getting out of harm's way and making Quigg reset. Quigg was never really in positions to throw power shots, and he was just looking lethargic, slow, and like I said, he was chasing shadows throughout this fight. And this was one of those fights which was what I call a slow beatdown. First few rounds he was just getting outboxed, and after 5 or 6 rounds, you could tell the accumulation of punches was getting to Scott Quigg. His body language wasn't great. He was touching his face a lot. He was getting discouraged, not letting go of shots because he was getting countered. And yeah, this was a slow dissection of Scott Quigg, and I've got to say, it was a very good performance from Jono Carroll. I didn't really think Jono Carroll had this type of performance in him, and yeah, I felt he looked impressive. He boxed well throughout this fight, and in the second half of the fight, he started to put it on Scott Quigg, started to hold his feet a little bit more, throw more combinations, dig to the body, and he was landing more hurtful shots to the head. He was actually buzzing Scott Quigg as this fight went on, particularly with his left hand, and that left hand was on point throughout this fight. The straight left hand from Jono Carroll couldn't miss, landed some beautiful shots to the face of Scott Quigg, really did. And yeah, arguably Joe Gallagher, Scott Quigg's trainer, could have thrown in the towel a lot earlier, because basically from round 8 onwards you could tell this was going one way, and even before then, to tell the truth, but you've got to give these guys a few rounds. I felt round 8 onwards, in any of these rounds, Joe Gallagher should have really thrown in the towel, to be honest. But he let Scott Quigg stay out there to try and change the fight, but he couldn't do it. Just getting outboxed and beat up round after round after round. And the thing is, Jono Carroll may not be a big puncher, but that's when you get hurt. It's when you have a fight where a guy is taking a lot of shots, and it's not necessarily coming from a big puncher. It's just pure accumulation of getting hit over and over and over again. That's when people can get hurt. So, yeah, the trainer could have thrown in the towel a lot earlier, but he did in round 11, and yeah, it was what it was. Round 11, Jono Carroll hurt Scott Quigg, I believe, with a left hand. Scott Quigg was buzzed. He was in the corner against the ropes, and Jono Carroll was really just kind of teeing off. And yeah, that's when Tesco Joe Gallagher thrown in the towel. Good performance from Jono Carroll. As for Scott Quigg, I really think it's time to hang him up. As good as Jono Carroll was, I do think it has to be said, Scott Quigg looked terrible in this fight. He was slow. Don't get me wrong, he was never a quick guy, but he was so sloppy, so slow. His balance was terrible in this fight, and that's one way you can see a shot fighter when he can't steady himself to throw shots. Scott Quigg, when he was throwing the right hand, was throwing himself off balance. You know, there are moments in this fight when Jono Carroll was in the corner or against the ropes, Quigg was in front of him, Carroll had his feet set, and Quigg didn't do anything. He wasn't letting go of shots. So Quigg, he didn't really let go of his shots, couldn't pull the trigger, was throwing himself off balance when he did. To me, he looked like a guy who's seen better days. And I have to be honest, I'm not going to say this was a prime Scott Quigg because he looked terrible. But nevertheless, Jono Carroll boxed really well. And, you know, he showed some really good movement, good foot speed, good hand speed, some really nice accuracy with that straight left. And Jono Carroll has certainly improved as a fighter since I first saw him. I first saw Jono Carroll way back when, I think it was 2013. And that's when Jono Carroll was in Prize Fighter. You know, this was a long time ago. Maybe it was 2014, sorry. I think it might have been 2014, but yeah. Jono Carroll fought in Prize Fighter. He won Prize Fighter. And yeah, since then he's really come a long way. He really has. He's made a lot of improvements. He fought Tevin Farmer for a world title, put in a really good account of himself, and now he's just beaten Scott Quigg, the best win of his career. So fair play to Jono Carroll, you know. He's an entertaining fighter, and it's going to be interesting to see where he goes next in the super featherweight division. I think there's a couple of fun fights out there for him, you know. Maybe somebody like Andrew Cancio, that would be a good fight. Maybe Francisco Vargas, I think that'd be another good name for Jono Carroll. So yeah, Jono Carroll's got some good fights out there. Maybe he could even fight for another world title, who knows. What can be said, this was the biggest win of Jono Carroll's career, and it opens doors, it really does. And I enjoyed the performance, you know. I'm not really the biggest fan of either one of these guys, it has to be said, but I did enjoy that performance from Jono Carroll, I really did. So credit for a good performance, he looked good. We'll see where he goes next. Peace.